Hi everybody, it's Claire with another art journal video. Today I'm working in my craft journal. As you know, this is one of my favourites, and I'm starting off by using the stamping platform from Tim Holtz, and I'm using a stamp that's from a stamp set by Danielle Mack, I beg your pardon, called Rise Above, and this is a lovely moth from that design. So I've started off, I spritzed the moth with some water, and then using Dina Wakley's scribble sticks, just scribbled some of the pigment onto there, and then dried that layer, and then repeated the process but with a different colour, and then dried it, and then tried dipping the stick in to the water to activate it, and printed with it. And then once that was all dry, I then used the black archival ink and stamped that over the top. So then I'm just repeating the process using this stamp set. This one is from Birgit Koopsen. It's one of her circle stamp sets. If you haven't got one, why not? Because they are brilliant. But maybe that's just me. I do have a thing about circles. I love using them in my journaling quite a lot. So I'm just doing the same process here, and you notice that it's given quite a watery effect. But it doesn't matter, because once you put the black ink over the top, that gives the definition to the stamp, and then you've got a little bit of colour behind, and you can kind of build up the colour and the black too. So then I've put those to one side, and I'm using the craft journal. As I said, I've just added some gesso onto the background, just in a stripe across the middle, and then before it dried I'm using the Circles for Painting stencil from Dina Wakley and a baby wipe, and just gently removing a bit of that gesso. Now I didn't put any clear gesso onto the background first, so you don't want to rub too hard, because then you will start to sort of remove layers of the paper. So once that was dry, I'm then using some of the white collage tissue paper with the circles on it, and some gel medium, just sticking a few pieces of that in place too. So I have mixed sky with some white paint, just to make a really lovely pastel blue colour, and use the same stencil to echo the places where I removed the paint through the stencil. And then I'm using heather, and I'm just adding some circles using that too. And then I'm just sort of working out where I'm going to put the moth, and thinking about how the page is going to work. And I'm just using the mantra stencil, a little pop of yellow. Doesn't really show up very well on the video, but it was only just meant to be a little pop of colour. Then I'm using the Ecoline liquid watercolour ink, and it's number 545. It's a beautiful sort of deep fuchsia-y purple colour. It's ever so nice, just to do some drips on the page. Once those are dry, I'm just cutting out some of the circles and just popping them on the page, just sort of auditioning where they're going to go, where they're going to work. And deciding how many I was going to use, and then just playing with where they were going to go and what felt right. So then I stuck them in place. I only used a glue stick to do that, and then I decided that I would outline some of the circles using the Stabilo oil pencil, and then just quickly activate the pencil using a water brush. And you can see how that makes them pop out from the page. It kind of makes them stand out quite a lot more. I quite like that effect. It's worked quite well. I think if you don't want the Stabilo oil to be quite so dark, then do just press on really gently to start off with. You can always go back in once it's dry and add some more pencil on top of it. So then I decided that the moth was going to kind of disappear on the background, so I stuck it onto some black card and cut it out, leaving a tiny border around the edge of the moth, just to help it stand out a bit better from the background on the page. And then stuck it in place. Then I'm using this Posca pen, and it's in a lovely, like a sort of turquoisey blue colour, just adding a bit of mark making onto the page. And also just outlining that moth again a bit more. Felt it still needed a bit more black around it just to help it pop. And then just some more doodling on the page, a bit more mark making. And then I'm just using a quote from one of Dina's collage tissue papers and just popping that in the middle of the page, and then just adding a sketchy board around the edge using the Stabilo pencil again. And there we go, that's the finished page. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. It's got a bit of a pastel vibe going on in the background. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon.